this season is going according to plan for many, many, many teams this season. There's a reason there's a smile on my face, so we'll obviously get into that a little bit later on, obviously. But real quick, actually, I'm not going to try and stay too long on this video, to be fair, but we'll go through match day 9's results, and then we'll go through the roundup of match day 10 as well. So Merseyside derby was last week. Madly enough, literally 4 games had 4 red cards in them, which I think is another record. I think that's only happened once before, and I think it was this season, actually, the start of the season, something like that anyway. But Liverpool 2, Everton 0, that was from Anfield. That pretty much went the way I thought it would go. I did actually call Liverpool win, to be fair, and I did actually call Salah to be on the score sheet, as he always seems to score against them. I think they're one of his favourite opponents to score against. Everton are very lucky that they've got teams that are worse than them at the moment. I know that their XG is pretty high with regards to what they create, but they cannot put the ball in the back of the net. And this league is unforgiving. So if you're not putting the ball in the back of the net, what are you actually doing in this league? But again, as I stress, Everton have worse teams than them in the league at the moment, which is by default the way they're going to stay up. I do like that free of Decore, Onana. I know Guy is now sat on a bench at the minute. But I do think, he needs to come back in to the midfield. They get bypassed every single time, Everton, and obviously defensively they're not resolute at the moment. So they do need a little bit of a snap back in there. Liverpool just going on about their business as they usually would. This is round about the start of the time now when Liverpool do tend to sort of start stringing a few results together. And they will look to do that from now until the end of the season now, to be quite honest with you. But a good 2-0 win for them. They're into the top 4. Of course, Everton still languishing in the bottom half of the table, where we're going to see them pretty much all season, I think. Brentford, not Brighton. Brentford from the G-Tech Stadium beat Burnley 3-0. Another red card there as well. Back to winning ways for Brentford. I think they were 4 without a win. Burnley had just gone from bad to worse, it looks. No win in the Premier League this season yet, I don't think. No, they have. Burnley have won. Sorry, Burnley have won again this season. I think they went to Luton and beat them. But they're so dire. So poor away from home. Conceding left, right and centre. Every single Brentford goal, by the way, was absolutely brilliant, by the way, I must say. The goal of the month goal reel on their own, to be quite honest. So if you haven't caught that, go and check them out because they're really, really good goals. Brentford, yeah, their first win in about 4. Burnley just continue to not grind out results, not grind them out. Speaking of grinding out results, Wolverhampton are doing that quite well at the moment, and they keep on going behind and then doing it the hard way. Obviously picked up another 3 points. This time it was at the Vitality Stadium, which of course is Bournemouth. Ended up being Bournemouth 1, Wolverhampton 2, and there was another red card in that game as well. It's so strange for red cards, seriously. I do not know where the discipline has gone. But Wolverhampton are doing really, really good bits under Gary O'Neill. And of course, Bournemouth being Gary O'Neill's former club, he's got one over on them for obviously firing him. Iraola, I think, is in trouble. I think if Bournemouth lose their next game, I think he'll be out of a job next. Bournemouth have not won a game this season. That is certified. They don't look close to winning any of the games that they do play. It's just looking quite messy for him. Philip Billing, I believe, is injured at the moment as well, which obviously doesn't help matters either, as he's obviously their best player. Obviously lost Jefferson Lerma, I believe, as well, in the summer transfer window. Yeah, Bournemouth are looking terrible. Defensively, they are not there. Goalkeeper looks a bit on edge. Midfield can't seem to hold water at the moment. And Dominic Solanke is not a striker that's been prolific. Recipe for the disaster, to be quite honest. But as for Wolverhampton, Neto playing the games of his life at the moment. I think they obviously got Mateus Cunha, who's still there, obviously really, really decent striker. No, Wolves look to be in a really good place at the moment, and that's credit to the manager, Gary O'Neill, as I've stated before. But again, another win for Wolverhampton. I thought that one would actually be a draw. I didn't know Wolves would go there and pick up the result, but they did. Speaking again of grinding out results, Luton Town, they went to the City Ground, Nottingham Forest, where Forest went 2-0 up for 2 Chris Wood goals. And obviously Luton did peg them back within the last 5 minutes of the game when it looked dead and buried. I think it was it Odibajo that got the equaliser? I think it was him. But yeah, good game. That's the game I actually watched over the weekend, funnily enough. And I'm really, really impressed with Luton's resilience. I still think Luton are going down. I still believe they won't be here next season. But for the time they're here, you might as well have fun. You might as well. And that's what they seem to be doing. They're having a go. And it seems to be yielding a decent result for them. They tried to have a go at Spurs the last week as well. And they almost nicked something. But they threatened a bit more against Nottingham Forest this week. Didn't really threaten too much against my beloved. But no, Nottingham Forest got caught cold. And to be fair, rightly so, because it just seemed to me that they just looked to sit back on that 2-0. Which you obviously can't do in this league, because as soon as the first goal goes in, then yeah, you've opened up the floodgates to basically concede another. But yeah, really, really good point for Luton. Not so much for Nottingham Forest. They'll feel like it's a loss. Of course, it's only 2 points dropped, but this is what you get when you don't play attacking football for the full 90 minutes. On to Manchester City, another red card there. That was for Akanji. Got sent off in the last minute, of course, so now he misses the North London derby. He misses the Manchester derby. Obviously this weekend, but Manchester City back to winning ways against a very, 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 very decent Brighton side. Man City formality win, yes. Erling Haaland on the score sheet again, yes. Seem to have their passing groove back. I know without Kevin De Bruyne it's a little bit difficult. Phil Foden found himself sort of playing as the auxiliary sort of front three man, so he was literally popping up everywhere, left, right, middle, trying to make things happen. Which he did to a really, really good extent. Bernardo Silva was being at his scheming best as well. No, Man City look like they're back to the basics, to what they're supposed to be doing, which is obviously good for them. And obviously once De Bruyne comes back, then that's just the icing on the cake. And then they could obviously look to press on. Brighton will be fine. Always, tend to be in the Premier League now. They're one of those Premier League clubs now that will be solidified and will be here for quite a few years, because they do know how to recruit and they do it quite well. They were a bit unlucky to not nick a draw there as well. But no, fair play to Man City. Currently second in the league at the moment. Brighton will obviously do all they can to ensure that they are in the top 7 or 8. On to St James's Park. That was Newcastle 4, Crystal Palace 0. There's not really much more I can really add to that, to be quite honest. It does exactly what it says in the tin. Crystal Palace went there, were absolutely wretched, got torn to pieces. Newcastle, baptised them pretty much. Literally put them in a spliff, put them on a t-shirt, put them on a pint of milk. However you want to dress it up. Crystal Palace were missing in action. And there's not much more to say on that. Newcastle at home are going to be formidable, even though they did drop points to Dortmund in the Champions League this week, which I thought was a bit of a strange result. But Dortmund were excellent from top to bottom, goalkeeper all the way through to striker. They were so resolute. But Newcastle will be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. Crystal Palace, I do expect a respectable 10th, 12th place finish, especially because they've got no Zaha, as he's currently out injured, and so is Elise, which will obviously be a big sign for what's about to happen tonight in the Premier League for Spurs and Palace. Super Sunday was Chelsea 2, Arsenal 2 from Stamford Bridge. I actually had Chelsea to win this game, to be quite honest, because I did think Arsenal would come and start. Chelsea did go into a 2-0 lead, and Mudryk was on the score sheet here. But Arsenal got their groove back in the second half. Declan Rice doing Declan Rice things, doing what he does. I don't really like talking nice about Arsenal too much, but Declan Rice, credit where due, he's been brilliant since he's been there. And he was the one that kind of got them back on track. He was the one that scored the first. Obviously, Leandro Trossard got the second. Chelsea just seemed to fall asleep in the second half. Excellent the first half through Cole Palmer. Penalty, and then a Mudryk cross-come shot which beat David Raya, who was in the wrong position anyway, and got lobbed subsequently. But a really, really good game, entertaining game, end-to-end, and it really could have gone either way, as the old cliche goes. But as it stood there, it was a 2-2 draw and 1 point apiece to both of those clubs. Sheffield United 1, Manchester United 2. That was on Saturday night as well. This one I thought United would win 1-0 actually, so I am happy that it was within a 1 goal game. Not a very good game to watch, though, I must admit. Sheffield United gave a good account of themselves, as you'd expect them to be fair, being at home, being under the lights, Sky game as well. They looked like they were up for it, but just don't have enough quality, and that's what it told in the end. United have enough quality, and yeah, more than enough to obviously dish out what Sheffield United were doing, and United effectively came out on top because of that. Great goal by Dalot as well, by the way, for the winner. So Man United now make that unbeaten games 3 now at the moment, ahead of their big, massive Manchester derby over the weekend. Sheffield United, again, one of my teams that will be looking to go down this season also. Super Sunday, Aston Villa 4, West Ham 1. I'm not going to say that's a shock because Aston Villa have been doing it all season. All season they've been doing it, at home especially. I think that's the 4th time they scored 4 goals, and Douglas Luiz has been at the forefront of that every single game. Ollie Watkins obviously has had his say as well in a few. Yeah, I'm not surprised by the result. Not by the result, but the scoreline maybe more. Yeah, but the result, I knew Villa would win. West Ham didn't really have a game plan to defend. They kind of just went to go out, see how much they can score, and maybe look to try to outscore one of the highest goal scoring teams of the league at the moment, which is never fun, and you don't do that away from home. So I think David Moyes got that all the way wrong. Aston Villa just came to play and literally outplayed them. But they look very, very good. Aston Villa at the moment, currently sat in 5th in the Premier League at the minute, 2 points currently behind the top, which obviously could change tonight if Spurs do go and beat Palace. And of course, talking about my beloved Spurs, that was a Monday night football from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham 2, Fulham 0. I was talking about this yesterday. Tottenham are just, at the moment, being a fan, this is probably one of the most exciting times I can think of, where Spurs haven't let me down in any game they've played. They look good. They look good. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go win the league. I'm not saying we're going to go and win a trophy. What I am saying is there's improvement. We don't have any Europe. Everyone is looking to stay fit. The first 11 is as good as anyone in the league at the moment. It's looking really, really rosy at the moment. And at the minute, Spurs currently being top of the league. If they win tonight against Crystal Palace, they could be 5 points clear. It's looking really, really good for him. James Maddison in top form. I think he's on 3 goals now, 5 assists in the 9 games so far this season. Sonny, 7 goals in 9 games at the moment. He looks to be taking up the mantle of captain very, very well. Romero, Van de Ven and Vicario seem to be formidable at the back, with Porro and Udogie on the wings. I say wings because they are playing like midfielders, to be fair. They are so pushed up so high. So they're almost playing like wing-back/wingers. They're not full-backs. Udogie currently the best left-back in the league for me at the moment. Bissouma, Sarr in the midfield. Bentancur still to come back into the team as well. And then you've got the front three of Son, Kulusevski, and even Richarlison is putting in shifts, which is obviously good to see, because I like Richarlison. Obviously, he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He was never going to be the guy to replace Kane's goals. But what he doesn't give you in goals, he gives you an energy. And belief and fight. He does all of that, so I can't fault it. He's done it in every game. He's fought for everything, even picked up an assist as well last game as well for Son, which I'm very, very happy about. So that nice segue leads us into this week's fixtures. So obviously tonight, as I've stated already, Crystal Palace versus Tottenham. Prediction time, I've said 2-0 all day, and I'm not going to derive from that. I may even put a bet on for Son to score the first goal. I'm going with a 2-0 Tottenham win. Crystal Palace are going to be without Eze and Elise. I think Spurs may decide to rest Udogie. So that means one of Emerson Royale or Ben Davis will probably come in to replace for that game. But a 2-0 win for Spurs. I see tonight Tottenham go 5 points clear. Then we move on to tomorrow. First kickoff of the day is at 12:30. That is coming from Stamford Bridge. A nice West London derby. Chelsea versus Brentford. I will go with a Chelsea win, but it will be slender. I'm going to go 2-1. Brentford, however, do have a nice record there and haven't lost in their last 2. And did beat them 4-1 in their second season, I believe, in the league. Yeah, a couple of seasons back. So that could be a tricky one for Chelsea, but I will go with a 2-1 Chelsea win and get over Brentford. Arsenal versus Sheffield United from the Emirates. That's a formality win for me. Arsenal to win that 3-0. Sheffield United aren't going there and causing them any kinds of problems at all. Bournemouth versus Burnley. That's from the Vitality Stadium. I'm going to go with a Burnley. Sorry, no, I'm not. I'm going to go with a Bournemouth win. Both are equally as terrible at the moment. So Bournemouth being a home team, you've got to kind of go with the home advantage here. Burnley are not going there to cause them any problems or any upset. I would go with a Bournemouth 2-0 win there. Wolverhampton versus Newcastle is a Saturday night kickoff. That's a tough one, that one. Newcastle are in really good form, but obviously did lose in the Champions League this week. Wolverhampton have been in excellent form and are unbeaten in the last 3. So I'll probably go 1-1 draw on that one. We'll go 1-1. Wolves versus Newcastle at Molineux. That's 1-1. On to Sunday, West Ham versus Everton. That is live from the London Stadium. West Ham, I believe they lost 2-1 to Olympiacos last night. I didn't see the final result. It was 2-1 last I saw. But I am going to go with a West Ham win here. I think they take Everton 2-1 at the London Stadium. Brighton versus Fulham. That is a Super Sunday at the Amex. Yeah, Amex Stadium. I will go with a Brighton win there. Brighton versus Fulham. Yeah, we'll go with Brighton win there. We'll go 2-0 to Brighton. And I do think João Pedro gets on the score sheet there as well. Aston Villa versus Luton. That's from Villa Park. That's a formality win there for Aston Villa. I don't think there's going to be any letting up from Aston Villa at the moment. They are just so good at going forward at the minute. And I do see that being a 3-0 game to Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet again for me. Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. That is from Anfield. Throwback to one of the classic Premier League games, of course. I'm going to go with a Liverpool 3-0 win there. I just don't think Nottingham Forest have enough about themselves, especially after their capitulation last week against Luton. I think they'll come stuck against a really informed Liverpool side, especially at Anfield. And then we've got the big one on Super Sunday, which is Manchester United versus Manchester City. That is live from Old Trafford. Biggest game of the weekend, of course. I will go with a Manchester City slender win of 2-1. Even though Man United have had really good success over Manchester City over the past couple of seasons. So that's my roundup. I hope you've enjoyed it. Try to smash a like, of course. Obviously, share this video as well. Try to get it out there. Again, I don't do this to try and be famous or anything. I do it because I genuinely like it. But yeah, that's my roundup. And I'll do another one for you in the next week, hopefully. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football and we'll speak.